Talk now about the reality of the first 100 days. Douglas Brinkley, CNN presidential historian, is with us. And on the phone, Mike Levitt, former Secretary of Health and Human Services. Good to have both of you with us this morning. And Mr. Levitt, I want to start with you. You were the HHS Secretary for the President George W. Bush's second term. You were there when he tried to relaunch or reform Social Security. And you'll remember the president said these famous words. Let's play them. All right, if we don't have it, here's what he said. He said, quote, "I earned capital in the campaign, political capital, and now I intend to spend it." Well, he spent it trying to push through that Social Security reform, and it failed. What is the impact of a new administration coming in, spending that capital on something that fails? What's the impact?
Well, I think there are many. I think Mr. Brinkley will validate that there are many administrations who fail in their first attempts. I remember the Clinton administration took on a number of issues that they failed with initially, and it has an impact. It does. I would, however, point out the fact that the obituary on health reform may be prematurely written here. That is to say, Trump and Ryan may well be just allowing the Freedom Caucus here to marinate in the juices of their failure. There are a lot of opportunities over the course of the next 6 months where they can bring this up, and I think it's notable that Speaker Ryan did not allow the bill to fail. It still sits out there, and so those who believe that this has just gone away forever, I think may be premature.
Well, of course, it gets more difficult to do as you get to the midterms, and all of these members have to go back and run again. Let me come to you, Douglas. We heard from David Gergen just yesterday, something that is getting a lot of attention. He's worked for 4 presidents, Republicans and Democrats. Here's what he said about the president's first 100 days thus far. Okay, so we don't have that either. Here's what he said. Let's just play what he said. He said that these are apparently the worst 100 days of any presidency he's ever seen. He says, "I think when you add it up in totality," he said, "this was the worst week of his presidency. I actually think this is the worst 100 days we've ever seen in a presidency." What do you make of that?
Well, I agree with that, and have been saying that the last week. Why? I think Donald Trump doesn't have control over his own party, as you've just seen. I mean, there are really 3 factions. There's Trumpians, there are conservative Republicans, maybe the Freedom Caucus you want to call them, and then there are establishment, more moderates. And in order to be successful, you've got to own your party. And Trump has been unable to do that, as we just saw. But beyond that, the Michael Flynn problem, the very fact that he's under federal criminal investigation by the FBI for nefarious activities with Russia, I mean, all of this has just cast a very dark cloud over the first 100 days. Doesn't mean he can't rebound from this. The big problem Donald Trump had was believing his own campaign. Jimmy Carter did that in 1976, which is, I'm an outsider. I'm going to drain Washington. I have nothing to do with D.C. And suddenly you're in the White House. The White House is in Washington. Yeah. And you've got to make deals and you've got to negotiate. And hence, Trump's come up empty-handed here.
Douglas, let me stay with you for this question. We've seen several times over the last, 60 days, this president has not taken responsibility. Do we have that sound, guys, ready? Tell me if we have it or we don't, so we can just move past it. Okay, let's play it.
We were very close. It was a very, very tight margin. We had no Democrat support. We had no votes from the Democrats. They weren't going to give us a single vote, so it's a very difficult thing to do. That was a statement made by a very talented lawyer on Fox, and so you shouldn't be talking to me. You should be talking to Fox. My generals are the most respected that we've had in many decades, I believe, and they lost Ryan.
Yeah, that last comment in reference to the Yemen raid. This is not apparently the buck stops here president, Douglas.
No, he's constantly looking to blame somebody else. In this case, however, he didn't really throw Ryan under the bus, but I can't believe Ryan's leadership is secure. I mean, I'm not imagining that a lot of these Republican congressmen that are and women that are running for re-election want to be seen in photo ops with him. He lost. Donald Trump talks about winners and losers. Ryan lost. Maybe he can resurrect himself, but I think he's been the one who ended up damaging his professional career the most by convincing Trump to go along with him on this.
Secretary Leavitt, finally to you. The last time that one party had control of the White House and both chambers of Congress was back in 2004 to 2006, when you were in office there at the George W. Bush administration. Assess the players this time around. Apparently, at least they seem to be more polarized than they were during that period. Would you agree with that?
Well, there's no question, and I think Douglas very clearly outlined the problem. There are three factions within the Republican Party, and this is the reason that Speaker Boehner left. It was the reason I think Paul Ryan was reluctant to accept the job. You'll recall he got the job at the insistence because he was the only one who could hold it together, and I think this demonstrates exactly why.
All right, Secretary Mike Leavitt and Douglas Brinkley, thank you both.
Thank you.
Kirsty.
Republican Senator Lindsey Graham holding a town hall in South Carolina later today, the first time that he's going to address residents since the GOP health bill collapsed. Live update for you from the Palmetto State next.